Most men believe that if they just last long enough, she will get there. That assumption is costing her every time. Here is what the research shows. Only 18% of women reach orgasm from penetration alone. That number comes from a peer-reviewed study of over 1,000 women, confirmed across 32 studies and 74 years of research, which means right now, 82% of women are with partners working from the wrong blueprint, not because those men don't care and not because they aren't trying, but because nobody ever showed them the right blueprint to begin with. I'm Dr. Reena, urologist and men's health advisor. Today, I'll show you what that blueprint looks like, the biology behind that statistic, what it means for her experience, and the specific shifts that change everything. Most doctors won't say this clearly. I will. The conversation happening without you. Women talk about this constantly, with friends, sisters, their closest people. The conversation that comes up over and over sounds something like, "He's a good man. He tries so hard, but he just doesn't get me there." She isn't saying it to him because she loves him and doesn't want to make him feel bad. And honestly, she might not even know how to explain what's missing. She just knows something isn't connecting. Research consistently shows women are more likely to fake orgasm than redirect their partner. Not because they're being dishonest, but because they were never given the biology to explain what they actually need. Many women don't fully understand their own anatomy either. This isn't a her problem or a you problem. It's a shared education problem. I had a patient, I'll call her Claire. She'd been with her partner over a decade and had never once reached orgasm during intercourse. She'd convinced herself this was just how her body worked. Her partner, a genuinely caring man, had spent years trying to fix it. Longer, harder, different positions. Nothing worked. When I explained the biology to both of them together, he went quiet, then said, "Nobody ever told me any of this." That's the most common thing I hear from men in my practice every week. Not lack of effort, lack of information. Information is exactly what comes next, the anatomy most people have never seen. When most men picture the clitoris, they picture a small structure at the top of the vulva. That visible tip is the smallest part of the entire organ. The full clitoris is about 4 inches long, and roughly 90% of it is hidden beneath the skin. It's shaped like a wishbone with 2 internal legs, the crura, that extend down and wrap around the vaginal canal, and 2 internal bulbs that sit alongside the vaginal walls. During arousal, every one of these structures fills with blood and becomes erect. The clitoris gets erect just like the penis does. Here's the number that puts everything in perspective. The clitoris has more than 10,000 nerve endings. The head of the penis has about 4,000. The clitoris is the most nerve-dense structure in the human body. No other structure comes close. It has 0 reproductive function. It exists for one reason: pleasure. Compare that to the vaginal canal. The inner 2/3 have very few touch-sensitive nerve endings. Deep penetration doesn't stimulate the area that produces orgasm for most women. Modern science now treats the clitoris, urethra, and vagina as one connected system. Researchers call it the clitor-athrovaginal CUV complex, not 3 separate structures, but one functional unit. What about the G-spot? There's no distinct anatomical structure confirmed consistently in all women. What's felt through the front vaginal wall is the internal clitoris. Same organ, different angle. Women who respond strongly, they are experiencing clitoral stimulation through the vaginal wall. So here's the simplest way to think about it. Penetration reaches the neighborhood of the clitoris. It rarely reaches the clitoris itself. The 18% statistic isn't surprising once you see the anatomy. It's inevitable. What the research shows, in 2017, Dr. Debbie Herbenick at Indiana University surveyed over 1,000 women. Only 18.4% said penetration alone was enough to reach orgasm. 36.6% said clitoral stimulation during intercourse was necessary. Not helpful, necessary. This wasn't new. The Height Report found the same pattern in 1976. And Elizabeth Lloyd's review of 32 studies over 74 years reached the same conclusion every time. Researchers have identified something called the orgasm gap. In heterosexual encounters, men orgasm about 95% of the time. Women orgasm about 65% of the time. a 30-point gap consistent across studies. That gap doesn't exist between women in same-sex relationships. Lesbian women orgasm about 86% of the time, 21 points higher than in heterosexual relationships. The research points to one reason: female partners are significantly more likely to understand and prioritize clitoral stimulation. That's the whole answer. The gap isn't about anatomy, compatibility, or effort. It's about knowing what her body needs. And now you know, which means that gap just got a lot smaller. What this means in practice: most men hear the 18% statistic and think, I just need to last longer. That's the wrong conclusion. Duration isn't the variable that matters. Stimulation type is. Timing. Research shows the average woman takes 13 to 15 minutes of stimulation to reach orgasm. The average man takes 5 to 7 minutes. That gap exists before penetration even begins, and most men rush past it. When a woman is fully aroused, the internal clitoral structures are engorged, the vaginal canal has widened and lengthened, and lubrication is present and consistent. Starting penetration before that point means the clitoris isn't yet fully responsive. That's where the gap begins for most couples. Movement. Depth and speed don't directly stimulate the clitoris. Grinding does. It maintains sustained pressure against the external clitoris during penetration, while thrusting moves away from it with every stroke. That one distinction explains more of the orgasm gap than most people realize. Dual stimulation. Combining penetration with manual clitoral stimulation activates the internal structures through penetration while engaging the external clitoris directly. Researchers call this dual stimulation, and it's the most reliable route to female orgasm. None of this is complicated once you understand the anatomy. You're not starting over, you're redirecting what you already bring to the table. Marcus came to see me at 47, frustrated and confused. He'd been with his partner for 8 years, most of which he'd spent focused on one thing: stamina, extending intercourse to 20 minutes or more. She still wasn't reaching orgasm and had started avoiding intimacy altogether. When I explained clitoral anatomy to Marcus, he went quiet, then said, I've been solving the wrong problem my entire adult life. The clinical reality: duration without the right stimulation type doesn't close the orgasm gap. Extended penetration without clitoral focus often creates discomfort instead of pleasure. Vaginal tissue isn't designed for unlimited friction without adequate arousal. More time doing the wrong thing isn't the answer. Positions matter, but not for the reason most men think. The right question isn't which position goes deepest, it's which position creates the most clitoral contact. Elevating her hips during missionary tilts her pelvis upward, improving contact between her clitoral area and her partner's body during movement. Positions where she controls the angle let her find the pressure her body needs. Marcus shifted his focus from duration to stimulation quality, incorporating clitoral focus before and during intercourse. His partner's experience changed within weeks, and so did their relationship. 3 myths to retire. Vaginal orgasms are deeper or more satisfying than clitoral orgasms. This idea comes from Freud and has no scientific basis. Masters and Johnson proved in the 1960s that all female orgasms are physiologically identical. Same muscle contractions, same neurological response. What differs is the stimulation pathway, not the orgasm itself. There's no hierarchy, only what works for her body. The G-spot is a separate organ producing a different kind of orgasm. There's no distinct anatomical structure confirmed consistently in all women. What's felt through the front vaginal wall is the internal clitoris. Same organ, different angle. If she isn't climaxing, more stamina is the answer. Duration increases opportunity only when the right stimulation is already present. Longer penetration without clitoral focus doesn't close the gap. It extends discomfort. The variable is stimulation type, not time. All 3 beliefs came from the same place: an incomplete picture of her anatomy. Now the picture is complete, and that changes everything. Closing. The men who become great partners aren't the ones with the most stamina or the best technique. They're the ones who cared enough to understand how she works. That's what you just did, and it matters more than you realize. Tell me in the comments, what's one thing from today that surprised you, or one thing you'll do differently? I read every comment and reply to as many as I can. If this gave you something real, subscribe. New content every week, evidence-based, honest, and direct, designed to make you a more knowledgeable, more confident partner. Your intimate life is worth investing in. Understanding what actually creates pleasure makes you a better, more confident partner. Thanks for watching. Keep learning, keep growing, and keep taking care of yourself.